Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome, and I've got a new number 45th subscriber. So welcome to my 45 amazing subscribers. Welcome to the Kraken's Lair Comics. I started off doing my normal intro video, heading down the basement stairs in the Kraken's Lair, but I'm like really excited, so I already kind of messed that video up. So we're just gonna start it off here. Today is a big day. My very first batch of PGX graded comic books has arrived. It took a minute. The timing for when PGX was supposed to originally ship them to me coincided with all the holidays, like Christmas and the New Year's and all that stuff. And then they were waiting for some new holders. Now, I will say that PGX has been in touch with me every step of the way, letting me know the status of my books. So I never had any sort of concern on that end. Of course, they sent me the tracking number when they did have that. Like I said, I'm really super excited. So we are going to get into this. As you can see, PGX ships their packages very well secured, which is thankful because I'm telling you, I'm having some issues with my post office. Not just my local post office, which actually lost a comic book, A Tales of Suspense number 58. So they had to reimburse me for that. But unfortunately, I got such a good deal on it that it's not like I can just turn the money in. It's not like buying a teapot at Walmart. I can't just go back up and buy the same one for the same price. So that really kind of sucked. Now, briefly, for anyone that has not caught my previous videos, and once again, shame on you. Why are you not watching every single video that I post? Because they're so fun and informative. I decided to use PGX in large part based on seeing the track record of Chris from the We Love Comics channel, where he sends in 4 comic books a month to be pressed, dry cleaned, and graded by PGX. And they always come back to him safely and sound. Usually wherever he sort of spot grades them at, like I think it's going to be a 6 to a 7. And it'll come back a 6 or a 6.5 or a 7. I mean, it's always like right within that range. And all the years that I've been watching his channel and all the years that he's been sending books off to PGX, there was one instance where the grade came back higher enough that he knew that there was something was a little bit of a miss. And it turned out it was an honest mistake. They were grading, I guess, another, a copy of the same comic book, and they got the labels mismatched in the sleeves. So it was an honest mistake, and he contacted Daniel Patterson at PGX, and they corrected that error. Once again, it was just a human error. It wasn't through any lack of professionalism on PGX's part. As I've stated, I'm using that company. Number one is the cost. I think it's kind of crappy to charge me a percentage based on the value of a comic book to grade a comic book as opposed to a flat fee, because the service you're providing is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if the comic book came out a month, a year, 10 years, 15, 20, 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. The service you're providing is exactly the same. So where you're charging me more, something about that just does not sit right with me. Now, a lot of channels, everybody's going to, and this is true, where if you're looking for the highest return on your investment, CGC currently retains the highest value. Even GoCollect.com tracks the online sales of just CGC graded comic books. But when I see people do videos going like, okay, well, if it's apples to apples, if I got a 6.0 on this comic book from PGX, I'm going to be able to sell it for X amount of dollars. If I have the same comic book with the same grade done by CGC, I'm going to be able to sell it for X amount of dollars higher. The point they're trying to prove is, well, look, see, CGC, you get higher return. But they don't ever tell you how much more they spent to have CGC grade the book. So I'm like, okay, well, if I send it into PGX and it's a flat fee of $20, and I have it pressed and dry cleaned, which they also provide in-house, which is another thing that I like, so my book's not getting just shipped all over, wherever. So that works for me. And that's $25. Now, if all of a sudden the value of that book is, say, like $3,000, but CGC is now charging you a percentage of the value of that book, on top of now having to press and dry clean it, you might be spending a couple $100, not 50. Okay? So to me, if you okay, well, I just sold this book because it was CGC, like I made $100 more than if it was PGX. Well, but if you spent $300 as opposed to $50 to get there to make an additional $100 or so, did you really? Because now your expenses in the book are higher, and you got to factor that stuff in. What I've been doing is I've been selling duplicate issues, some comic books that where I'm keeping the higher grade value, and I'm selling the duplicate lower grade value comic. So I still own it in my collection, so I'm not missing anything from my collection. And I've taken those funds and I've used it to send 2 batches into into PGX. This is the first batch. Now, one thing they did really cool, they have Chris from We Love Comics has worked out a deal for you, for me, for you, for me, that if we send in 10 comic books to be graded, irregardless of whether you have them pressed or dry cleaned, but just 10 books to be graded, if you use the code We Love Comics free press, they will press 1 free of charge. Now, I was in contact with Chris where I was really excited. Hey, man, I've just sent my first batch of books off to PGX, but I only had the funds to send off 8, and he got back a hold of me. He's like, hey, man, call up Daniel Patterson. Tell him you're a fan of the We Love Comics channel and see if they'll honor that free press on one of those books, even though you're only sending an 8. And I did do that. And I very quickly got a response from Colette Schneider, I guess is one of their general managers. And she was like, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll totally, even though you're only sending an 8, we will totally honor that free press on one of those comic books. So I had a chance to think about it, and I was like, another service that they offer, and they're the only of the 3 main grading companies of CGC, CBCS, and PGX that will put the grader's notes on the back of the label. So where you're not just saying, okay, well, it came back a 6. It'll say, well, whatever, a loose staple or a rusty staple or a coupon cutout or whatever the damage is. So there is an accountability to the grader of like, why did it get this grade? It also might help you as a seller if you're selling one of these PGX graded books, where your customer, because everybody's got things that they can handle and some things that they don't like. So did it get the grade because there's a married page? Or did it get the grade because there's a coupon cut out but it doesn't affect the story? Is there some writing on the interior? There could be in a list of what that damage is that made it get that grade that you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's no big deal. But once again, it makes you a more informed purchaser. And I think that's all great. Now, I will say, before I set these in, I sort of wrote down some grades of what I thought that these would be. Now, bear in mind, I've never sent in books to be graded. I have no personal experience doing this. I am not a professional grader. So if some of these grades come back higher or lower, I don't want that to be an opportunity for some naysayers out there to be like, ha, see, we've told you. PGX grades too high or they grade too low or whatever people's beef is with this company. Because I don't know what I'm doing, which is why I sent them to a professional grading company. So if I'm really way off on these, it's a reflection on me and not on PGX, okay? Now, the real big question mark in this package is there's my Fantastic Four number 6. Second appearance, Doctor Doom. Second appearance of Submariner. First supervillain team up. If you guys have gone back and watched that video, oh wow, this stuff is just all like super well protected. There's 2 binder holes in it, okay? And it from the research that I've done, wow, I've got enough bubble wrap and packing materials to ship stuff for a long time. Probably what I will do is when I get together the funds for my 3rd submission batch to PGX, I will just repurpose a lot of the same material. That way I know my books are getting to them safe, and that's the goal. Okay, I don't have any idea how I have these listed to how they have these packaged. I'm going to try not to look at the labels and stuff like that. But like I was saying, okay, so the Fantastic Four number 6, it's got 2 binder holes in it. So for the research that I've done, it could come back where they count those 2 binder holes as damage, because it is. It goes through every single page of the book. And it's going to come back really super low. It's going to come back like, I don't know, like a 2.5 to a 3.5 tops. If they give it a qualified label, which sometimes I've seen that they can do, where say there is a coupon cut out that doesn't affect the story, where it's like, okay, it presents an X grade, but because it is, damn it, it's qualified. Okay. I have seen a qualified label. I saw a CGC, I want to say it was Amazing Spider-Man, it was number 2 or number 5 or something like that, real low, early Amazing Spider-Man, that, like, even with, like, binder holes, I've seen, like, some stuff grade, like, above a 9. So, once again, we're gonna learn this together. So, I'm trying to, I think the grade should be over here. Okay. Is it? Okay, dang, my janky channel. Okay, I don't want these comics to appear backwards, so I'm going to have to flip the screen here, people. And, oh wait, don't want to do that, because then I can't see it. Okay, I'm going to have to do it this way. This is why I'm janky, people. So I'm not going to be able to hide the grades, so we're just going to learn these together. This I saw was my Tales of Suspense, number 41. I put the grade at a 4.0. Now, once again, that's before I had these pressed and dry clean, which may have helped these out some more than others. And look at, there we go. So yeah, I had mine as I put down a 4.0 to a 5.0. Obviously, there was some pressable defects that pressing and dry cleaning helped, which is why not only Chris from the We Love Comics channel, but also like Alex the Comic Hoarder and all these people. It's like, dude, if you're gonna spend the money to get your books graded, no matter who you use, spend the additional money to have it pressed and dry cleaned. Now, once again, I don't know what this would have graded had I not paid that $25 for the press and dry clean. But I promise you, it was not a 6.5. I want to say when I purchased this, the seller had it listed at a 4.0. I did think it looked a little bit higher than that, which is why I graded it at a 4 to a 5. 6.5, cannot complain about that. I will, once I get through these books, I will hit pause on this, and I'll go back through prices, what I paid for them, and now with these grades, what their value is. So, next up, this is a fairly big one. Now, this one actually came back a little bit lower than I thought. X-Men number 94 came back a 5.5. I had this down from a 6 to a 6.5. So a little bit lower than what I thought. There could be some interior damage. That's what it is. If you look at the back cover, there was some staining damage. Now, I was aware of that. I was hoping maybe some of the dry cleaning would remove some of that. Obviously, it was only able to do so much, which, certainly qualifies for this 5.5. Now, I will say this cover just looks great. I mean, for a 5.5, this presents very, very well. I am not going to complain about that. Next up. Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. I had really high hopes for this one. Bought this back in the day. It looks gorgeous. The grader's notes say that it's incomplete because the last page was removed. It does not affect the story. I was not aware of that. So I actually had this. I had this graded at a 5. So and I probably wasn't when I purchased it as a kid from some book nook or whatever, was not aware that the last page was removed. So I'm just going to have to, you know, be excited about the 0.5, be excited the fact that the cover and stuff, that it does look really nice, and move on. Okay, next one up. Okay, this is another big boy book right here. This also graded just a little bit lower than I thought. I had a 6.5 to a 7.0. This came back a 6.0. Foxing, water stain on back cover, edge wear, multiple stress lines. So okay, that water damage sort of killed me on that one. But 6.0 for this book, I mean that's very respectable. I will happily take that. Okay, Avengers #2 came back a 4.0. I had this. I was sort of right there. I had this at where was I? I had this to a 4.0 to a 5.0. So once again, I don't know what I'm doing. So okay, and once again, there's some sort of additional damage I wasn't aware of. This has the centerfold is detached from the staples, so that certainly qualifies for that 4.0. But this is one of those books I just really wanted to get it encapsulated and have it kept safe. I actually purchased from Chris on the We Love Comics channel. I paid with what I paid him for it, and now with the cost of the grading service and stuff like that, I paid $250 for this book. So I'm sure when I look it up, I mean, I still have some profit, some value in this book. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. This is Avengers #57, first appearance of Vision, a 6.5. Once again, it seems like I'm just grading a little bit high. I had a 6.5 to a 7.5. So yeah, I'm grading a little bit high. Like I said, it does seem like there's some of these books that had some interior damage that I had forgotten about or was not aware of. Okay. All right. This is awesome. This is that Fantastic Four. So even with the 2 binder holes, it did not come back qualified, and they gave it a very respectable 4.0. So I can totally live with that. Like I said, I didn't know if they were going to go qualified or just count the damage as damage, where at that point I had it like a 2.5 to a 3.5. So 4.0, I mean, and it is kind of, it's unfortunate because it has this damage because of the binder holes that go through the entire book. But because somebody kept it in the binder, I mean, the colors on this thing just pop. I mean, it looks so pretty, and it looks super just gorgeous encapsulated like this. So I'm really, really happy with that, okay? This is the last one of this batch. There is your first appearance of Mephisto. Silver Surfer, a 5.0. Once again, I'm sort of right there. I had it graded at a 4.0 to a 5.5. So once again, it seems like my higher range is on the high end. So I just need to scale back like a little bit. So that's the books, people. Super excited about having these back from PGX. The only one that really graded significantly lower than I had thought was that X-Men 94 because of that water damage. But it's, such a great book to own. And I'm going to hit pause on this, and I'll write down these grades. I'll look them up. So this is going to take me a few minutes. To you, it might just take a few seconds. So just hold on, everybody. Okay, I'm back. I went through and I looked all these up and how much I paid for each book plus the shipping and stuff, and then what the grades came back on how much profit I would make on that. Just because I'm already getting close to the 20-minute mark on this video, what I spent on every single book, I made money on it. I pretty much doubled my money. So for The cost of all of these books, the pressing, the dry cleaning, and the shipping, and insurance and all that stuff, I was all in for all 8 of those books, just under $2,000, 1,970. With how these came back with the grades that are on them, I'm looking that I'm like I said, I about double my money. That the profit in there is $2,205. So that's where these books are at now. Once again, the X-Men 94, X-Men in the MCU, that's going to appreciate. There's been lots of serious talk about Mephisto showing up in the MCU. Obviously, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, all that stuff is good books to speculate on right now. So that, I mean, I'm really pleased with that FF6, that 4.0, with having the 2 binders holes, because it is such a gorgeous book. It would have been a shame for it to come back like a 2. So I'm really happy with that 4.0. Like I said, the Silver Surfer with with Mephisto, the Tales of Suspense 41. Like I said, that graded a lot higher than I thought it would. I was really pleased with that grade. It's the 3rd appearance ever of Iron Man. So I'm gonna keep looking at my books and stuff like that. I do have a second batch that is due. I don't remember the exact date, but somewhere towards the tail end of February. I've got 10 books that are coming back from PGX. Some pretty key books in that. I mean, I've got Fantastic Four 48, 49, Silver Surfer #1. Some really key books that are coming back. So everybody, enjoy comics, enjoy comic book collecting. This is Daniel at the Crackers Lair Comics. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.